بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون والصلح خير إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون صدق الله العظيم.
I would like to call on Excellencies President Ghani, Secretary of Defense, and Secretary General to NATO to come to the podiums and say their remarks.
امریکا متحده ایالات در افغانستان به کار خاص از طرف قابل ایران او بیش حقوق و قوانین و سفیران در کنفرانس و خیلی هر کله باشه نن په کابل کې ستاسې محترم د افغانستان د مشروع نظام څخه ستاسو د دوامداره ملاتړ ښودنه یو وار بیا تاسو څخه همدارنګه د افغانستان د سیاسي مشرانو جهادي رهبرانو او د ملي شورا د خلکو له استازو او ټولو حاضرینو څخه مننه کوم چې نن په دغه پرتمینه غونډه کې حضور لرئ. ستاسو حضور د افغانستان ملي وحدت او د نظام څخه ملاتړ د ټولو مننه. وزیر محترم دفاع ایالات متحده امریکا و سرمنشی محترم سازمان ما و شما و توافقات و معاهدات جدید ضرورت نداریم به خاطر اینکه ما با سازمان ناتو و کشور دوست ایالات متحده امریکا معاهدات امنیتی داریم در مشورت با نمایندگان مردم افغانستان در نتیجه مشورتی و توسط اعضای شورای در انجام حزب و تصمیم رسیده است. این معاهدات همچنان پابرجا می‌باشد. جناب سکرتر سازمان ناتو جناب از شما تشکر می‌کنم که همیشه در همکاری‌های دوامدار با افغانستان حمایت کرده‌اید و خصوص در کنفرانس اخیر وزرای دفاع سازمان ناتو برای حمایت، تمویل، تجهیز داخلی افغانستان تا سال 2024 وزیر محترم دفاع امریکا دکتر از شما تشکر میکنم که افغانستان را برای امنیت داخلی امریکا دانسته و تاکید شما برای همکاری با افغانستان نه بلکه همیشه درنو هیوادوال او دلته ناستو خویندو نن د دوست هیواد امریکې متحده ایالاتو سره په افغانستان کې د دایمي سولې د تامین په خاطره یوه ګډه اعلامیه کړې چې د دغې اعلامیې د موادو په تطبیق سره به انشاءالله تعالی په افغانستان کې دایمي سوله او ثبات ته لاره هواره په دغه اعلامیه کې یو ځل بیا ټینګار شوی چې د افغانستان اسلامي جمهوریت د ملګرو ملتونو سازمان د یو غړي په توګه او د نړیوالو قوانینو په اساس یو مستقل او خپلواک هېواد دی او د افغانستان اسلامي جمهوري دولت د امریکې د متحده ایالاتو او نړیوالو ټولنې لخوا په رسمیت پېژندل شوی د افغانستان د اسلامي جمهوریت او د ناتو سازمان ترمنځ او دغه راز د امریکې متحده ایالاتو سره دوه اړخیزه امنیتي تړونونه ترسره په دې معنی چې د افغانستان ملي امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونه سره زموږ د نړیوالو ملګرو تعهدات یوځای پاتې دي او په امنیتي او دفاعي برخو کې د همکاري او حمایت دوام کوي دلته لازمه بولم چې یادونه وکړم پرون زموږ د امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونو ملي ورځ یو ځل بیا ټولو زړورو افغان ملي وسلوالو ځواکونو ته د دغې ورځې مبارکي وړاندې کوم او د دوی د قربانیو او خدمتونو قدرداني کوم افغان ولس د جنګ په ډګر کې ستاسو د قربانیو قدر کوي او پرون چې ستاسو ملي ورځ وه ولس دا ورځ په ډېره شانداره توګه تدبیر کړه په سوله کې ستاسو نقش او مسؤلیت لا زیات دی ځکه تاسې یاست چې د سولې ساتنه به کوئ د طبیعي آفاتو پر وړاندې له زیانمنو سره مرسته کول او د افغانستان د پولو او ځمکنۍ بشپړتیا څخه په مطلقه دفاع کول د دغې ګډې اعلامیې په اساس زموږ روابط د نړیوالې ټولنې خصوصا د امریکې متحده ایالاتو سره د متقابل احترام او د مشترکو ګټو پر اساس ولاړ دي په دغې مشترکې اعلامیې کې د افغانستان اوسنۍ 40 کلن عالي او د جنګ او سوله ییز حل په لارو چارو موافقه شوه دا سوله ییزه حل لاره به د افغانستان د اسلامي جمهوریت دولت او د طالبانو ترمنځ د مذاکراتو په نتیجه کې ترلاسه کېږي او بیا به ټول په ګډه د هغه عملي کولو وکړي زموږ مذاکراتي ټیم به د افغانستان د اسلامي جمهوریت تر چتر لاندې عمل شروع کوي د امریکا او طالبانو ترمنځ د توافق په اساس تېره یوه اونۍ په افغانستان کې د تاوتریخوالي د کموالي اونۍ سره له دې چې په دغه اونۍ کې ځینې پېښې وشوې خو له نیکه مرغه اکثر وطنوالو یوه اونۍ په نسبتا سوله ییزه فضا کې ژوند کوي دغه کار به د دې سبب شي چې طالبانو سره د مستقیمو مذاکراتو له لارې دایمي حکومت ورسېږي د افغانستان دولت د امریکا د متحده ایالاتو او طالبانو ترمنځ د توافقنامې هغه برخه چې د حکم یو نوې اصطلاح ده او بالاخره دایمي وربند اشاره شوې ده همدارنګه د افغانستان د اسلامي جمهوریت او د طالبانو ترمنځ د مخامخ افغان ولس 2 کاله مخکې او دا د یو اوسې د ورکم خوند اصول اسلامی ورباندې او باندې سولې ته مواد این موافقتنامه زمان قابل تطبیق است تا طالبان همه طالبان در این مثلا یکی از شرایط ایجاد موفقیت نیروهای خارجی در افغانستان است که بستگی به این دارد تا دیده شود که طرف مقابل و تعهداتشان چقدر واقع. برای معلومات شما باید بگویم که پیشنهاد کارشی نیروهای خارجی را در افغانستان اواخر من مطرح کردیم و خاطری که 94% عملیات‌ها نیروهای امنیتی و دفاعی افغانستان را به شکل مستقلانه عملی می‌کنند. این فعالیت‌ها دوباره در سرکرد نیروهای امنیتی و دفاعی من به نمایندگی از دولت جمهوری اسلامی افغانستان و مناسب رئیس جمهور محترم ایالات امریکا مکالمه دادم و در آن مطرح کردم که با رسمیت لازم بالا رفتن سرکرد نیروهای امنیتی و دفاعی کشور حکومت افغانستان آمادگی برای کاهش تدریجی نیروهای ایالات متحده امریکا این روند طبعا کمک میکند از نهایی ایالات متحده امریکا در افغانستان حفاظ کنید. من یک بار دیگر به نمایندگی از مردم افغانستان از کشورهای سازمان ناتو و دولت و مردم امریکا در خاطر حمایت های حالا به اجازه شما هم برای دوستان خارجی چند از به این زبان sustains our relationship with the BSN is legally expressed NATO and BSN if spared neither blood nor pressure or we ask you to thank the veterans, especially the group for their self-respect. Our sacrifice is commitment both in the market of the yourself and our children spend their time in men and women in all ages walk with life in the state of fighting suicide survival. Educators in public schools. May I ask you for a moment of silence in honor of our
the Taliban. We have the political will.
of our displaced population and refugees during the last around
Free speech, expressed both through a vibrant media in social media or features of our daily lives and hold pride in it and make sure that it's protected. Our egalitarian ethos finds expression in national dialogue with the tradition of Loa Jirga adapted as a mechanism of national discussion and consensus building. Our demographic profile, with 75% under 30, makes the country one of the young people. Our women, creative, dynamic, and strong, think and speak for themselves. We've become a true stakeholder society, discussing peace vigorously. Our inclusive, productive public discussion has turned the interrelated notions of constitution, republic, citizenship, and freedoms and rights into keywords in our social discourse and narrative of our collective identity as Afghans today. During the historic 2018 ceasefire, our society demonstrated the capacity for embracing the future, engaging tens of thousands of Taliban fighters in conversation without a single incident of abuse, revenge, or violence. Our societal capacity for peace, tolerance, and forgiveness comes from our abiding belief in the injections of Islam. Our ulama have been champions of peace and our rights and freedoms. The alignment of views between the ulama and the women in the dialogue with Taliban has been truly inspiring. Our ulama created the enabling conditions for the 2018 ceasefire when 2,907 of them issued a fatwa urging peace and ceasefire. I therefore quickly ordered a ceasefire. The Taliban accepted. Thereby, we had a true feast celebrating the end of the month of Ramadan in 2018. Our private sector is engaged vigorously in peace. Today, they provide the necessary goods to every single district of Afghanistan. In 1990, people had to stand in line for hours to get a liter of petrol or some wheat or flour. We have demonstrated our political will and state capacity. The past 2 months, we embarked on intense process of consultation with our defense forces, civilian leadership, and critical groups of stakeholders, responding to the directions from their commander-in-chief. Our patriotic forces changed their posture from war to reduction of violence within 5 days. We have organized our civilian capacity in all provinces equally swiftly. Relentless focus on reforms and a culture of acceptance of civilian leadership has been the key to building the capacity of the security sector. Defying predictions that the NDSF will not be able to fill the vacuum left by the departure of over 125,000 ISAF forces in full assumption of security by ourselves, we've gone from strength to strength, and thank you for the resolute support mission, and I salute General Miller and the previous commanders. NDSF's strength, functioning as the protector of our constitutional order and protector of the rights and obligations of their fellow citizens, gives us the confidence to pursue sustainable peace. Your ongoing support to the NDSF, Dr. Esper, Mr. Stoltenberg, during peace and war are essential to our freedom and your security. Our brave women are increasingly serving along the men in the NDSF. Peace has been an integral component of our vision and program of action for securing the future of our country as an effective state, unified nation, and prosperous country. End of 40 years of violence is the primary object of society. Peace is the process for achieving this objective, a process that would lead to the stated objective and merely change the scale and scope of violence is therefore not to receive strong public support. Given the stated divergence between the Taliban and us, we need to agree to a fair and transparent process for reaching agreement and convergence. We are confident that we have a national consensus on peace. Our confidence derives from 5 years of intense consultation. The ulama, women and youth have convened national level gatherings of stakeholders giving expression to their hopes and fears. The consultative peace Lojirga of 2019 brought all the stakeholders into a national forum. The 23 recommendations of the Lojirga have provided a platform for peace. Reaching here is required commitment and sacrifice of the NDSF, compassion for the suffering of every Afghan, conviction that the war must end politically, and courage to act on the conviction to opt for the road less traveled when reaching a fork in the road. A president, however, does not have the freedom of a citizen. A president has to act within the limits set by the Constitution, the source of his authority, hence assessing all recommendations through compliance with the Constitution, our national rule book. We need to acknowledge that we have yet to form a national consensus on the price of peace and the trade-offs. In the course of negotiation, the trade-offs and the price will become clear. The nation will then have to make a decision through the parliament, a Lojirga, or a referendum. Every Afghan citizen is a stakeholder in the peace process. To ensure inclusiveness, we will engage in an intensive round of consultation in the next 7 days on how to balance effectiveness, inclusion, authority, and capabilities. I would like to thank President Trump for his stewardship of the South Asia strategy and for engaging with us for reframing the agreement between the US and the Taliban. The current framework response to join us in the noble quest for peace and cooperation. I thank the European Union for thinking with us both the peace process and the immense work that will be required to implement and realize peace. I'd like to thank Germany and Norway for their offers. Let me conclude by thanking you for honoring us with your presence. I count on your support to help us create an even broader set of partnership for peace than those created for responding to the tragedy of 9/11. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
President Ghani, Chief Executive Abdullah, Secretary General Stoltenberg, Minister Khalid, distinguished guests, we join here today with real hope for the future of Afghanistan. Since the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, the international community and government of Afghanistan have united together in the fight against threats to international peace and security. Along with our NATO allies and partners, we have committed to ensuring that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for terrorists to threaten our homelands. Throughout this long war, we worked closely with the government of Afghanistan to strengthen its security forces and develop the democratic institutions to chart a safe, secure, and prosperous future for this proud country. America and its allies have made tremendous sacrifices in pursuit of these goals, as have the people of Afghanistan. We honor our brave service members who have served here, especially those who paid the ultimate sacrifice alongside our Afghan security force partners. And we remember, as well, the innocent civilians lost in this struggle. The ongoing efforts to achieve a political settlement after many long years of fighting reflect a shared desire for a sovereign, unified Afghanistan at peace with itself and its neighbors. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, we are finally making substantial progress toward ending our nation's longest war. Today's release of the joint declaration between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the United States marks a pivotal moment in the peace process. Our declaration acknowledges the deep bond shared by Afghan and U.S. forces and reflects our commitment to working together to achieve a sustainable, negotiated agreement that ends the war for the benefit of all Afghans. Central to this agreement are measures to prevent the use of Afghan soil by terrorist groups or other individuals who seek to harm the United States or our allies. Over the past week, we have observed a significant reduction in violence, which has created the necessary conditions for the United States to approve an agreement with the Taliban. This agreement, which will be signed in Doha shortly after this ceremony, paves the way for intra-Afghan negotiations to proceed so that a permanent and comprehensive ceasefire may be achieved. Afghanistan deserves a chance to enjoy the security and prosperity that comes from peace and stability. This will only happen if Afghans join together with one another to embrace this opportunity. We call on the Taliban to abide by their commitments as outlined in the agreement with the United States, to include maintaining the ongoing reduction in violence across the country. And as intra-Afghan negotiations progress, the United States will watch the Taliban's actions closely to judge whether their efforts towards peace are in good faith. If the Taliban uphold the agreement, the United States will begin a conditions-based, and I repeat, conditions-based reduction in forces. Concurrently, we will work with other members of the coalition to carry out a proportional reduction in troop levels. However, should the Taliban fail to honor their commitments, they will forfeit their chance to sit with fellow Afghans and deliberate on the future of their country. Moreover, the United States would not hesitate to nullify the agreement. Meanwhile, the United States and our international partners remain committed to our long-standing security relationship with the government of Afghanistan. For several years now, the Afghan security forces have been in the lead for providing security, and their effectiveness continues to grow. We will continue to provide them support as necessary to assist in their defense against internal and external threats to the sovereignty of Afghanistan. This is a hopeful moment, but it is only the beginning. The road ahead will not be easy. Achieving lasting peace in Afghanistan will require patience and compromise among all parties. But for the first time in many years, Afghanistan has a real path toward the future this country deserves. We look forward to the coming weeks and months with great optimism as we advance these important efforts to finally achieve peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellency Secretary General, please.
President Ghani, Chief Executive Abdullah, Secretary Esper, distinguished guests. I'm honored to join you all here in Kabul today to mark the start of this new chapter for Afghanistan. In a statement that we have just released, all NATO allies welcome this step towards peace. The agreement between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and between the United States and Taliban promise to end decades of devastating conflict and to pave the way for negotiations among Afghans as they begin to build a better future for all. This is a victory for peace and a victory for the Afghan people. Through their bravery and determination and the support of the international community, Afghanistan is a very different country today than it was in 2001. It is no longer a safe haven for international terrorists. Terrorists who conducted the attacks against the United States and threatened people across the globe. The security we have helped the Afghan forces to build has underpinned political, economic, and social progress. Child mortality has dropped dramatically. Life expectancy has increased significantly. And millions more Afghans are in school, including girls. Today, we see women's participation at all levels and freedom of the press being expressed every day. 20 years ago, all of this would have been unthinkable. I have seen this transformation from despair to hope, driven by a deep desire for peace, in the eyes of every Afghan I have met. From political and military leaders to journalists and artists, and from special operation forces to female fighter pilots. The challenge now is to preserve these gains. The price of peace cannot be to sacrifice progress. Peace will only be sustainable if the human rights of all Afghans, women, men, and children are protected. NATO allies and partners will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Afghanistan, as we have done since 2001. Over the years, under the NATO flag, hundreds of thousands of troops from North America, Europe, and countries around the world have been deployed to Afghanistan. Thousands of troops from NATO allies and partners remain in Afghanistan today to continue to train, advise, and assist Afghan security forces and Afghan institutions. Over the years, we have provided critical funding to support the Afghan security forces, and we will continue this funding. Thanks to our training and financial backing, the Afghan security forces have become stronger and more professional. And we will continue to support them as they build a safer and more secure Afghanistan. To support this process and to support the peace process, NATO will reduce its presence in Afghanistan step by step and conditions-based, reflecting the progress we see on the ground. NATO allies and partners went into Afghanistan together. We will adjust our presence together, and when the time is right, we will leave together. This will only happen when we are sure that the Afghan forces no longer require our support, and that Afghanistan will never again become a platform for international terrorists. The path to peace is long and hard, and there may be setbacks. We have already paid a high price. So I pay tribute to those who have served so bravely and sacrificed so much, in particular the Afghan security forces and the people of Afghanistan, whose strength and determination have laid the foundations for peace. And I say to the Afghan people, the international community stands with you. NATO stands with you. Now is not the time to waver or to jeopardize the progress made. The time for peace is now. So I urge all Afghans to seize this historic moment to build a truly inclusive Afghanistan and to unite in the pursuit of lasting peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, we have 4 questions today, 2 from Afghan media and 2 from the international media who's traveled with the Secretary of Defense. Can I call on Thomas Geppinson from New York Times to pose his question? Thank you.
Thank you. President Ghani, could you clarify whether the negotiating team of the Taliban will include political parties and civil society or just government officials, as your spokesman said a couple days ago? And Dr. Esper, following the agreement, what is the threshold for the U.S. to strike back at the Taliban if they continue to attack Afghan national security forces?
No, please go ahead.
With regard to any attacks on Afghan national security forces, we always reserve the right to self-defense and the right to protect our Afghan partners. We have to look at each on a case-by-case basis. I will rely heavily on the commander we have, the superb commander, General Miller, with regard to how we will act. And again, we will not take anything off the table. Our commitment is to this agreement and to the terms by which we agreed to implement it, and we are prepared to use force as necessary, but our hope is that all parties will abide by their obligations and commitments under this agreement.
Peace belongs to all Afghans. The team will represent the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and will be inclusive of civil society, parties, and all walks of life will
از همه
have a
بخش‌های
balance
جامعه
between
یک
generations.
توازن بین نسل‌ها را البته همچنین در ما خواهیم در نظر گرفت. ادریس علی از رایترز.
Mr. President, so far your
جناب
government
رئیس
has
جمهور،
largely been
دولت شما
left aside from the talks that are taking place
از
in
این گفتگوها که در دوحه صورت
and the
می‌گرفت
perception
شامل
that the
نبودند.
United States
همین که
abandoned Afghanistan a
آمریکا
couple of decades ago when the
یک
Soviets left. What makes you confident that the United States will not abandon you this
یعنی
time?
چی شما را اطمینان بدهد که آمریکا افغانستان را ترک نخواهد کرد؟
There's
و
obviously a
جناب
very
وزیر
fragile political situation in
وضعیت
the
سیاسی
country.
بسیار شکنن هست در
President
کشور.
Ghani is,
جناب رئیس
said
جمهور
he won the
غنی
election,
گفتن که اونا
chief
انتخابات را
executive
بردن.
of the
رئیس
legislative
جناب رئیس
behind him,
وزرای
said he
میگن
won
که
the
پشت
election.
سرش هستن میگن که اونا انتخابات را بردن. پس شما ترس دارید که همچون شرایط سیاسی که مشکلات داره چه خواهد بود؟ البته من از سیاست دور هستم. در آمریکا هم از سیاست دور هستم. در اینجا هم از سیاست خود دور نگاه میکنم. و من یک چیز تصحیح بکنم. ما بحث‌های با آمریکا داشتیم. با جناب رئیس جمهور شخصا بگرام آمدن و همچنان وزیر صاحب آقای اسپر و همکاران بخش رهبری آمریکا، وزیر صاحب پامپی چندین بار همراه با ما تماس بودن. از اینکه اگه گفته که ما با حاشیه کشانیده شده هستیم، من فکر می‌کنم کاملا غیر عادلانه هست. و دوم همانطوری که به خدمت گفتم در سخنانی که من پیشتر ارائه کردم، در نتیجه صحبت‌ها بعد از اینکه مثلا رئیس جمهور ترامپ توییت مشهور خود کرد، شرایط کاملا تغییر کرد. پس تمرکز این که کاهش در خشونت اول در مرکزیت قرار داشته باشه، بالاخره ما رو به طرف آتش بس برسه، انعکاس دهنده نظریات مردم افغانستان بوده. روش مبتنی بر شرایط ما کاملا در مطابقت هستیم. ما از این فرصت استقبال میکنیم و مشارکت ما بر اساس احترام مشترک و منافع مشترک هست و این ادامه خواهد یافت به همین شکل. تشکر. جناب مومن صاحب از تلویزیون ملی افغانستان. تشکر. من از تلویزیون ملی افغانستان هستم. سوال من از وزیر صاحب دفاع و از سکرتر جنرال ناتو هست. مردم افغانستان خوشبین هستند با احتیاط راجع به پروسه صلح، با خاطر که نگرانی های همچنین وجود دارد در ارتباط به اینکه عساکر آمریکا و سایر عساکر بین‌المللی وقتی که از افغانستان برآیند، یک نگرانی واقعی بین مردم وجود دارد که نشود افغانستان خدا نخواسته پس به زمان 90 و جنگ‌های داخلی برگردد. پس شما چطور می‌تونید که به مردم افغانستان اطمینان خاطر بدهید که همچون یک وضعیت بر نمیگردد و این که تاریخ خود را تکرار نخواهد کرد؟ ما میخوایم بگویم که ما کاملا متعهد هستیم که قوای دفاعی امنیتی افغانستان را حمایت بکنیم در سرتاسر این پروسه تا هر قدر وقتی که میگیره و تا هر جایی که میگیرد. ما حق دفاع خودی را داریم. ما همه توانایی های خود را حفظ خواهیم نمود، البته نگاه خواهیم کرد و در ختم روز بالاخره این پروسه مبتنی بر شرایط هست. باز هم پروسه مبتنی بر شرایط هست. معیار برای ما ایالات متحده آمریکا این هست که افغانستان باز دیگر تهدید نباشد. تهدید یعنی یک پناهگاه امنیتی تو روزهای بین‌المللی و که تهدید باز بالاخره به آمریکا و دیگر کشورها شود نشود و همین است که در بالاخره همین پروسه کار همین است که این ما دنبال بکنیم. در سخنرانی که در حقیقت متحدین ناتو موافقه کردن، اونا حمایت خود را به افغانستان تاکید کردن، تعهد دارن به افغانستان که آموزش‌های لازمی را با حمایت ملی را ارائه بکنن. پس ناتو و متحدین ناتو و همکارانشان متعهد به افغانستان هستند و ما در حقیقت امیر در حضور 18 ساله خود نشان دادیم و ما می‌خوایم بگیم که ما در افغانستان به خاطر همین هستیم که افغان‌ها را کمک بکنیم، ولی افغان‌ها خودم همچنان خود کمک بکنن. این است که یعنی بله این در به خاطر امنیت خود ما هست که نگذاریم که افغانستان باز هم یک پناهگاه هم به خاطر تروریست‌های بین‌المللی شود. این خاطر هست که ما تعهد داریم. پس هر کاهش در قوای ما مبتنی بر شرایط هست. ما قبلا هم گفتیم یک چند سال قبل مثلا ما 130,000 اساکر داشتیم که در جنگ‌های محاربه‌ای بودن و حالا 16,000 اساکر ما در ماموریت ناتو داریم. نشان می‌دهد که چقدر قوای دفاعی امنیتی افغانستان قوی شده هستند به خاطر که خودشان عملیات‌ها را رهبری می‌کنند و فعالیت‌ها را رهبری می‌کنند. سوال آخر از آقای نگزاد، تلویزیون طلو.
من خالد نگزاد هستم از طلو نیوز.
I'm Khalid Nigzat from Tulu News. My question is, the government of Afghanistan, United States of America, and NATO said that other than Taliban, there are other terrorist groups in Afghanistan who are active and they are considered as a threat. So after agreement is made with Taliban, how about fighting against the other terrorist groups? How will that be? Taliban, USA, and government of Afghanistan will get together to fight against those terrorist groups, or how?
Yes, that's a very important point
بله
and
این
deserves
مطلب بسیار مهم است و باید
clarification. We
واضح
will
ساخته شود.
continue our operations against terrorist groups such as ISIS-K.
ما در مقابل داعش و دیگرها فعالیت‌های خود را نخواهیم داد که در مقابل آمریکا و دیگرها و در مقابل افغان‌ها تهدید نباشه، در مقابل مردم افغانستان تهدید نباشه. دغه باید عمل لري.
Thank you very much.
ډېر شکر، ډېر مننه. زموږ خبرې دغلته پای ته ورسېدلې.
تشکر. من محمد فسی متوکل خبرنگار رادیو کلید هستم. جناب رئیس صاحب، از آغاز گفتگوهای صلح تا کنون گروه طالبان حکومتی که شما در رأسش قرار دارین به عنوان اداره کابل عنوان میکنن. اداره کابل با زعم گروه طالبان حکومتی که شما در رأسش هستین هنوز آماده هستین که با گروه طالبان برین به طرف مذاکره؟ یک بس دوم رهایی 5000 زندانی گروه طالبان در بدل رهایی 1000 سربازای افغان. واقعا حکومت افغانستان آماده است برای رهایی ازی؟ تشکر.
چطور میکنید صدیق؟
بفرمایید. هر سوال میگیریم باز شما لطفاً.
در میدان جنگ یک میدان تبلیغات است. هر کس میخواد طرف مقابل خود کوچک کنه. جمهوری اسلامی افغانستان اگه اداره کابل می بود 89 بار میتونستم با ولایت افغانستان سفر کنم. در کدام نقطه افغانستان نیست که مردم ولسوالیای ما تشریف نمیاره. اگر من شاروال کابل می بودم تمام ولسوالای کشور به اینجا می آمدن. تمام مدیرای امنیتی کابل افغانستان بار اول در تاریخ افغانستان با ما دیدن نکردن. اگر من شاروال کابل می بودم یا من مربوط اداره کابل می بودم 34 شورای ولایتی در ظرف 3 روز به مشوره به کابل می آمدن. اینا فکر دوباره کنیم. و اگر ما اداره کابل می بودیم 8 ولسوالی را در ظرف 7 ماه گذشته چطور از این آزاد کردیم؟ در یک دور نو هستیم. امید است با احترام با اراده مردم افغانستان صحبت کنیم که فکر که چې ولس د افغانستان ورسره ده دا ګس دا میدان راسي ولس ته د ځان وړاندې کړي. زه خو تاسو مخکې کینم یا تاسو پوښتنو ته ځواب درکوم. مولوي صاحب هیبت الله حاضر دی چې تاسو پوښتنو ته ځواب درکړي. چیرې ده؟ ادرس چیرې ده؟ چیرې اوسېږي؟ نو ضرور ده چې موږ تاسو فکر وکړو.